The Cohn Zone is back, and I think we got to talk about Brandon Aiyuk. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Cohn Zone presented by Factor. Factor powers your day, sun up to sundown, with nutritious breakfast, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. Factor has your whole day covered. Enjoy more this summer. Get Factor if you want all the flavor and none of the fuss. I use this, and you should too. Get started at factormeals.com/Cohn50off and use code Cohn50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code Cohn50off at factormeals.com/Cohn50off for 50% off plus free shipping. Factormeals.com/Cohn50off. Dad, you were gone last week. We're going to say you were on assignment. We never say where you're going when you go because there's crazy people out there, but you're back. You want to talk about the assignment that we designated you for?
Yeah, I do an annual, late May, early June. Every year I go to New York because that's where I'm from. And I see plays. I eat at really nice restaurants. I'm on my own. And I go to Brooklyn, take the subway all the way down near Coney Island where I grew up and walk around. And it makes me feel good. And then after that, I go to my sister. She lives north of Philly in a beautiful, in Bucks County, which is gorgeous, and near where I went to college. And I spend time with my little sister. She's 76. I'm 79, so she's not so little. And I got back on Tuesday, flew all day. And I'm still a little jet lagged, but it's great to be on the show with my son. And we have one piece of business to discuss, right?
We do. Before we get to Brandon Aiyuk's cryptic tweets, we need to square up because I make a lot of predictions. And you, instead of arguing with me, you just make bets and win. And I think you won another one.
I think so. I think the bet was, I said Trent Williams would be at OTA starting June, that he would be there as of June 3rd. And he was. And we bet a $50 bottle of red wine on that. So I'm ready to collect anytime you're ready to serve.
You will have a $50 or more bottle of wine to show off on the next Cohn Zone.
Oh, that'd be lovely. And I'll be here. I'm not on assignment. I'll be here. So should we dive into Brandon Aiyuk?
Absolutely. See, we did a lot of Brandon Aiyuk. I was on the Brandon Aiyuk beat last year, and it was a lot of fun. This year, he's dialed it back a little bit. We haven't really been thinking about Brandon Aiyuk until recently. He's been posting on social media again. And the thing that's cool about Brandon Aiyuk when he posts on social media is it's hard to say what he's talking about, what he means, how he feels. And I think that makes it even better. So why don't I tell you what he's actually posted, and we can sort of make sense of it ourselves. You being 79 years old, me being 37, and us not really being in his target demographic. Let's try our best.
Oh, okay.
So a couple of weeks ago, Julio Jones went on a podcast and sort of went on a tangent about how it still eats him up inside that he only got 4 targets in the Super Bowl. That was the one that Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator. He didn't mention Kyle Shanahan's name. You could take it as a shot at Kyle Shanahan. The next day, Brandon Aiyuk posts a picture on his Instagram story, which you don't know what that is. Don't worry about it. Posted a picture on Instagram of Julio Jones. Maybe it was a coincidence, but that's what he did. Then after that, he posted a picture of Terrell Owens doing sit-ups in his driveway. That was famously 20 years ago when he was suspended from training camp and eventually forced his way off of the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe he's just a T.O. enthusiast. T.O.'s kid is on the team. Went to my high school, Bishop O'Dowd. Then, finally, Brandon Aiyuk posted a couple of things on Instagram with words. He wrote, "Y'all crybaby-ass divas be killing the vibes on Instagram." Shaking my head. There's got to be an age limit on hating. If you're 30 years or older, just post yo kids and shut the hell up. There's a lot of wisdom there. And then one more, he says, "They want to play cool now. Nah. Hell no. I want that smoke still." So who they are, I don't know, Dad. What do you make of these tweets?
Iggy, I'm an English major and I'm pretty good at sort of getting what people write. Honestly, it's another language. I probably because I'm so old, I don't understand the references or the lingo. So I have no opinion, but I would say, didn't he also unfollow the 49ers on something?
He did. Now, it's unclear when he did the unfollowing. He could have unfollowed him last year and never refollowed them. And it's possible he never followed him in the first place, but he does not follow the 49ers as of now on Instagram. And that's something.
Okay. So here's the thing. I really appreciate if I were still covering the 49ers and covering sports, I really would appreciate at this time uh, Brandon Aiyuk because it's just practice. There's not a lot going on, and then when you have somebody doing this, which is totally unrelated to football and the team, it has nothing to do with anything, but it gives you something to write about and talk about and focus on. So I want to say, God love Brandon Aiyuk and Iggy. I bet you feel the same way.
Yeah, he did it in a way where like he didn't take a shot at anyone on the team specifically. It's not even clear that he's talking about people on the team. He might be talking about you and me, which makes it even better. It's a way for us to talk. It gave everyone content. It gave everyone a show and an opinion. And I salute him for that. Thank you very much, Brandon.
Yeah. So what I want to say is he's a generous soul and he fulfills a need that media people have. But I want to go further than that to a more serious thing. He's 27 years old. Iggy, I consider you very young, but you're 10 years older than he is. And that's a big difference. I try to think back to when I was 27. I'm not saying this about him. I'm saying this about me. I was a schmuck. I knew nothing about life. I had no maturity. I was not a serious person. And when I look back on who I was at 27, I feel embarrassed. And there's a lot of people I owe apologies to. I really do. So if Brandon's behavior is immature, and because I don't know what he's talking about, I don't know that it's immature. But I'm saying if it is immature, I cut him a lot of slack because I don't think I was any more on top of things than he may be right now. And there's another thing I'd like to say. I covered sports seriously for about 40 years. And the older I got, the younger these people seemed. And there was more distance chronologically between us. And after a while, Iggy, I honestly had almost nothing to say to them. Not that they were bad and not that I was bad. It's just there was so many generations between separating us. And more and more, I began to want to write about coaches and owners because they were closer to my demographic. So if I were covering the Niners now, I wouldn't know what to say to Brandon Aiyuk. And Iggy, he's not the only one. There's probably most players on that team, I wouldn't even know how to talk to them.
The thing with Brandon, it kind of comes again. Maybe I'm wrong, but it kind of comes across as like almost teenage angst. Like I don't know that he wants off the team. I don't know that he hates anyone. Like there's some wide receivers in the league who are much more calculated and I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Serious about their toxicity. Those are the wrong words, but this just feels like a guy kind of blowing off steam and being kind of coded about it so that he has plausible deniability. I mean, there are guys who force their way off teams. Like there are guys like Debo who demand the ball and really seem to like bend the whole will of the team to himself. Brandon hasn't really done that. He just has some feelings and some grievances, and we don't exactly know what they are.
I think we can generalize, and I know you would agree with this, that on a football team, I'm talking offense, but I think this is true of defense too. The biggest drama queens and the biggest divas are the wide receivers.
Yeah.
Iggy, I think we could say that unhesitatingly that they are. And we could name a bunch of them, a lot of them. And so I think that Brandon probably falls into that group. And what I've noticed with them, after they retire and they sort of emotionally catch up to their chronological age, they become normal and likable.
Mhm.
But while they're playing, I think it's necessary. It's not a flaw. I think
Yeah.
they have to be that way in
Yeah.
order to do the things they do. And Iggy, they are pretty much the biggest divas on the team. I would say, and you could disagree with me, maybe the second biggest divas are the defensive ends who
I would
rush
agree.
the passer.
I would agree.
That they would be almost in a class with wide receivers.
But yeah, it's usually guys on the edges, on the periphery, because they
Yeah.
see themselves as doing things one-on-one. And it was interesting. I think if you're going into business with an elite wide receiver, you sort of have to not only expect that kind of an ego, but like cater to it and pump it up, because you want him to feel like he's the best player on the field. And when I did a show with Tom Walsh this morning, and I asked him about Brandon Aiyuk, and he totally like diffused it, like, wide receivers, what are you going to do? And I think when you look at it like that, and you just put him, only compare him to other very highly paid wide receivers throughout the years, he's much less of like a diva and a distraction than a lot of guys out there.
Well, I covered Terrell Owens.
Yeah.
I covered Terrell Owens, and I'd like to compare the two of them. I think a lot of people out there remember Terrell Owens. Let's talk about them as players second. Let's talk about them as teammates first. I think Aiyuk is a pretty good teammate. I've never heard him put down another player on his team. Never.
Publicly,
Now,
no, never.
No. Now, he gets into it with people on other teams.
Mhm.
After they lost the Super Bowl to Kansas City, the defensive back coach made fun of him, right?
Yes.
Because they felt they could distract him and get him out of mentally out of the Super Bowl. That's pretty bad. And he did have the thing with the shorts with the coach. What that was about and what his issues with authority are, I don't know the guy. But having said that, I think he's a pretty good teammate. I think he's a good 49er. Terrell Owens, I don't think was a good 49er. I covered him when he was at the Niners, and I think it was when Dennis Erickson was the coach that one season, and he did it. I like Dennis, but he did a terrible job. And after just about every game, everybody would gather around Terrell Owens. He even would sometimes go on a stage, and he would put down Jeff Garcia and say the most brutal thing, that he wasn't a good quarterback. They should start Tim Rattay. Yeah, he called him the rat and all this. And I thought Erickson, if Erickson was the coach, indeed, he shouldn't have allowed that. He was a crummy teammate, and he tore that locker room apart.
And that's why multiple teams got rid of him during his prime, even though he was a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely. Had I voted on the Hall of Fame, I wouldn't have voted for him because he was such a crummy teammate.
It's a team sport, and he was not a team player.
Not in the least.
No.
Now, he was a better player than Brandon Aiyuk is.
Yeah.
That's the paradox here.
Yeah.
Brandon Aiyuk is a very good player. Now, we don't know what he will be when he comes back. He's a very good player. Terrell Owens was a great player. So he was a crummy teammate, but he was a great player. So how do you balance that out? I guess the long and the short of this is I'm willing to cut Brandon a lot of slack. And I think as he grows and gets older, he'll probably have his emotions more in check. Do you think so too, Iggy?
Yeah, and honestly, if we're saying, would you rather have prime T.O. or prime Aiyuk pre-knee injury? I'd rather have Aiyuk, because I don't think you can have a player like T.O. on your team. I know the Eagles went to the Super Bowl that one year and almost won it, but he just seems to be the antithesis of what team building is all about.
I would have to agree. Now, I think he performed pretty well when Steve Young was the quarterback.
And Jerry Rice, and he couldn't just take over the freaking team.
Right, he couldn't do that. Let's stay with Steve. I told you this. After poor Dwight Clark died, they had a big thing in the church in the city, and then across the street at the Fairmont. And Steve was there, and Terrell Owens was there. And I think Terrell was trying to decide whether or not, this is what I heard, to go to the Hall of Fame ceremony. Because, I think he's a little confused sometimes. And I observed Steve putting his hands on on Terrell's shoulders and looking him in the eye, like 6 inches away. Terrell locked his eyes on Steve, and Steve was lecturing him about something. And I thought it was about, you need to show up. The point is, he was still the quarterback, and Terrell was still taking advice and direction from him. And in fact, I told you about it that day, and you're the one who said he's still the quarterback. And it was very powerful and very interesting. So when Terrell had a leader like Steve, a great leader, he was a better teammate.
Yeah. And, in that moment, he was Terrell. He was a TO. And I think when he became TO, I think that was like, Skip called him team obliterator. It was just caricature, and I don't think it made him better. And I think a lot of times wide receivers take on caricatures, and they become like we saw Antonio Brown, Hall of Fame player, maybe the best wide receiver of his era. He became AB and lost it. And Brandon Aiyuk calls himself BA. Brandon, my only advice is someone 10 years older than you, lean into Brandon. You don't want to be BA. Just saying.
Iggy, he calls himself BA?
BA. Everyone calls him BA.
It's funny. I want to say something because I'm a writer. I generally don't like writers who go by their initials.
Yeah.
I'm Lowell Cohn.
R.L. Stein.
I just don't like it. T.E. Lawrence, D.H. Lawrence. What's your name?
Yeah.
I mean, what do people call you? Right? I won't have Lowell Arthur, L.A. Cohn. People call me Lowell. As
we call you LC, though, sometimes in the press box.
They do. But I think they're kind of joking when they do it.
It's like only in sports world would you do that.
You know who does? Dubau. Yeah, because I call him JD.
Yeah. LC.
We do that as a joke. Joke. Yeah.
Well, Dad, if I ever feel like you're getting a little too big for your britches, I'm going to start calling you LC.
Okay. So
but
anyway,
if you play wide receiver, I'll let it slide.
So Brandon, what we're saying is we're on your side. We like you. And maybe take a deep breath, and we hope your recovery goes well.
Certainly. Okay, so OTA's done, mini camps coming up next week, back-to-back practices. Why don't we talk about what the goal of these practices actually is? Because last year it was pretty casual. They mentioned a lot about, these are just voluntary. Not everyone has to be here. And then they had a bad season. This year, the offseason's been much longer, and almost everyone, really everyone has been at OTAs. What do you think the goal is this year?
Okay, I want to start by saying OTAs and minicamp are really serious. It's no joking matter. It's not casual. It's where veterans and captains have to show who they are. So I think there are two main, for this year, 2025, there are two main goals of what's happening down there in Santa Clara. One is they have a lot of rookies and new players on the team. Kyle Shanahan has to teach them, especially the rookies, their jobs, their playbook, where they fit in, and the tone, what it means to be a 49er. Kyle has to show them that he has the highest standards in the league for play and behavior. He has to show the new people. This is not just any team. Iggy, this is not even just Philly. These are the 49ers. Mm-hmm. They used to have the highest standard, and they played to it. He has to show them that. Number two, last year, the 49ers had their excuse with injuries. Fine. They had a lot of injuries. You and I both know they were not a team. They were a collection of players. And that's a different thing from being a team. Football's a team sport. The veterans and the captains and the coach have to make sure this is a team building time. You don't build a team in September or October. You build it in May, June, and in, August, where they have training camp. But a lot of it needs to happen before August. And this is a lot on Kyle Shanahan. He needs to make them a team. He needs to let them understand what a team is. And I'm going to tell you what Bill Walsh once told me. He was very philosophical, and he shared things with me that I didn't realize at the time was so extraordinary. One time he was saying, Lowell, in the spring and the early summer, I have to make them be a team every season all over again. And sometimes I think, what device can I use to make the 49ers a solid unit that has something in common? And he said, if I have to get them to hate me, and if they all bond in their hatred of me, Bill, if they all bond and play as a team and play well, I'll take it.
I did my job.
I'll take them hating me because I want them to have a goal.
Yeah, and to rally around a cause.
Absolutely. And and I thought at the time I didn't. Now I think of it. Yes, I understand. He was in a sense willing to sacrifice himself.
Yeah. And I think what you have to earn your spot now in May, June, July, August. You don't just get a spot week 1 because of who you are. I mean, remember how hard it was for Trey Lance to get on the field? He was the 3rd pick in the draft. They traded up for him. They had high standards for him. They have to keep those high standards. And it's like they drafted 5 guys, 6 guys on defense they hope could play as rookies. Okay, but they still have to earn it. They have to go to OTAs, minicamp, and actually outplay veterans who are going to be there as well. So this time is crucial to get these guys on the field. And then at the same time, like Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Nick Bosa all have to be there as well to show everyone that this time is important and that they're bought in.
The veterans and the captains have to show they have bought in. They're into it. And if we are, you need to be.
Yep.
If we take it this seriously and we understand we're creating the team now, you need to do that too. And if not, you're off. You fall by the wayside. That has to be the attitude. And the new guys, Iggy, they have to play their asses off.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to show the new guys is like, yeah, this team's been to 2 Super Bowls. They did it. And this is the work they did in the offseason to get there.
Yeah.
This is what it takes. And the fact that Trent Williams is out there practicing, the fact that Juszczyk and McCaffrey are out there in 11-on-11s shows you how serious this is.
Yeah. And I have certain doubts about McCaffrey. I hope he's okay, but we'll know when they really start playing. His attitude is fabulous, Iggy. I mean, he's a teammate you want.
Right.
He's not joking around. He's saying, this is serious stuff. Follow me. I really admire that.
Right, because like even George Kittle and Fred Warner aren't in 11-on-11, 7-on-7s because there's a risk to doing this. Christian McCaffrey's doing it for the team. Like most of the players out there are competing for spots. Rookies, guys on 1-year deals, 2-year deals, they have to go out there and take every rep and compete for their. Christian doesn't have to do that. He's not competing with anyone. He's just sort of pacing the field and showing people what the effort is, like what the standard is.
You know, I spent a lot of time talking to Steve Young when he played, and he used to call the standard for the 49ers it.
Yeah.
He used to me, when we talked, Lowell, we have it. This team needs to get it.
Yeah.
It's not granted.
Like, all the standard bearers, the standard setters are there. Trent Williams, Fred Warner, Diamador Lenore, Nick Bosa, all of them are there. And I think that's a huge difference from last year. All the standard bearers were not there. It's like, well, Trent's golfing and Christian's getting married and, they just finished last year and they're all tired. No excuses this year. I mean, I picked the team to win 7 games, but that was before I've seen any of this. Just watching how diligently they've gone through the offseason program makes me feel like maybe this is going to be the year where like the best case scenario happens for them. I don't know.
It would be a nice team for you to cover. And the veterans need to show that they understand it and they need to convey it to the new guys. And the coach needs to show that he understands it, that he's internalized it, and it comes from the top.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
I mean,
one other, Iggy, I'll tell you one other thing. I think John Lynch understands what it is.
yeah, I do. I agree.
I hope that Shanahan does as well.
Yeah, I mean, and we've talked a lot about like Robert Saleh coming back and how he can help the culture and this and that, but he's not the head coach. Kyle Shanahan is. And I mean, Robert Saleh has a lot of great qualities too, but he's not a champion. I don't know. We don't know that anyone in this organization has it. This is, again, an opportunity for them to show it.
Iggy, the only one in the organization who's won let's go slow. Lynch has won a championship.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
They had Shavarius Ward, who won one with the Chiefs, but now he's gone.
Keena Turner is in the building.
That's right.
Keena has won championships.
That's right.
Keena is a very quiet, smoldering. I love Keena Turner. He's one of my all-time favorites. I love talking to him and being with him. He's a champion. And Lynch, Iggy, I may be missing. I don't know of anyone else.
Trent Williams, not a champion. Kittle, no. McCaffrey, no. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got to get it, Iggy.
They got to get it.
They got to get
All right,
it.
let's do some, most of the time I call this game the more or less game, but today with my dad on the Cohn Zone, it's the more or fewer game. More or fewer game. So we got game 1 of the NBA Finals tonight. I think we have the Giants playing right now, so we won't do Giants today, but we could do, the Pacers, the Thunder. What don't we know about these teams, Dad? It's a classic rivalry.
I'll be honest with you, Iggy. When the Warriors got eliminated, I don't like the NBA. So, I mean, peripherally I paid attention, but I could play this game with you now that I've won a bottle of wine.
Would you do me a favor and not be honest and just say that you watched the finals and that you have strong opinions about these players?
Absolutely. It's Iggy. I'm consumed by it.
It's just the best. It's the best basketball we've seen in a long time.
I'm consumed by it.
Me too. We're going to watch this tonight. Okay, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Is he the best? Is he the future face of the league? Is he the face of the league right now? I don't know. 33.5 points for SGA. More or fewer.
Hold on. He's really a good player. I mean, I've seen him play. Mm-hmm. He's really a good player. But I'm going to say fewer.
33 is a lot.
It's a lot of points.
And I like to say fewer. 33.5, my goodness. He could get 33 and lose. So I think that's a smart play here at Prize Picks. Now let's check out Tyrese Halliburton. Halliburton. He's the other point guard, the counterpoint point guard. He's not as big of a scorer. So what do you think? 17.5 points for Halliburton.
More.
Savvy. How about Chet Holmgren? You saw Chet Holmgren. He's the tall, skinny dude.
Yeah, he's a good player.
City. He's a player. Rebound, 16.5 points for Chet. More or fewer?
Oh, more.
Oh, yeah, that's more. That's Chet for you.
That's Chet.
Now let's do another Pacer. Pascal, Miles Turner, Obi Toppin. Okay, 8.5 points for Obi. He exploded for 18 in the last game.
Okay, I'm going to go a wild here. I'm going to say fewer.
You know what you are, Dad?
What?
A hater.
Yeah.
Hater. But I got to agree with you on that one. And then final one, Jalen Williams, 22.5 points. He's really the second option on Oklahoma City, as you know, because you're you're kind of a fan of Oklahoma City. You've kind of gotten on the
I've been there. I've been there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna say more.
More. Okay. Well, let's look at the lineup. Let's assess it. Let's flex it. Let's submit the lineup. Download the app. Play 5. You use promo code Cohn, COHN. Play $5. Get $50 instantly on your first play. Dad, remember your cousin Allison? Rest in peace. When we went to the wine country and we drove back, and she wanted to listen to LeBron in the Heat, and whenever they were scored, she'd be like, yes.
Yeah, she was into LeBron James. Iggy, before we get on with this, with the Prize Picks, we were doing the NBA Finals. What do you think about what happened with Tom Thibodeau?
It would only happen in the NBA. Can you imagine a head coach in the NFL going to the conference finals, losing and getting fired? It would never happen.
It's what does the guy have to do? The Knicks fired him. He lost in the conference finals.
Yeah.
He's a really good coach. Unless there's something we don't know, like that Brunson hates him, or Iggy, what do you got to do?
It's probably something like Brunson hates him or one of the players. Because
Okay.
anytime in the NBA, they have to choose between a player and a coach, they choose the player, as opposed to the NFL where they usually choose the coach.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
I just want to say I don't know Tom Thibodeau, although his last name is really interesting, and
It's
love
a great
it.
name. I love saying
So-
it. Thibodeau.
Thibodeau. It's French, so I don't know where he's from. But anyway, Tom, I think you got the shaft, and I don't know what a guy has to do to keep his job with the Knicks. I
Are
don't
they going to
know.
go get Michael Malone, the guy who won the championship and then got fired right before the playoffs? I don't know.
Michael Malone's another good coach, so I don't know.
Yeah, then there was so many guys get fired for no reason. I mean, LeBron would get people fired all the time.
Oh, I think Magic Johnson got Westhead fired.
Yeah.
That's what Al Attles told me.
He might have been the first one to do it. Now it happens all the time. All right,
Yeah.
back to football. Brock Purdy, year 4 in the league, just signed a huge extension. What does he need to show now?
Okay. First of all, Iggy, he needs to show things.
Yeah.
It's not like this kid can rest on his laurels.
Mm-mm.
He had, from my point of view, not a great year, not a great season last season. You can't say year because they play in 2 different years. Only baseball can say year because it happens in 1 calendar year. Right?
Yep.
Anyway, so last season, I think he was mediocre plus, especially at the end when he was mediocre minus. So he has a lot to show. Also, now they're paying him like a superstar. They weren't before. So the expectations are very high, and he should embrace them. Not like, oh my God, I have to. No, this is what I want. I can do this. So, okay, we can take in any order you want. What are some of the things he needs to prove? Iggy, you go first.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I think if you count now on offense, he's the 4th best player. Haven't started the season yet. The left tackle, the tight end, the running back, all are more significant than he is. It can't be that anymore. He's being paid top dollar.
Yep.
He needs to be the number 1 player on the offense. Joe Montana was, not Jerry Rice. Steve Young was, not Jerry Rice. He needs to be Joe and Steve. That's who he needs to be this season.
Mhm.
And I don't think there's any discussion. He can't be the 2nd best, the 3rd best. He can't be the smiling former rookie. Oh, gee, this is my team. We're going to kick ass. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that because he could be, I mean, in 2023, he might have been the 5th or 6th best player on the offense. And that was fine when he was making $900,000 a year. Now, you don't know what Aiyuk's going to be when he comes back. Trent Williams is getting old, and Christian McCaffrey is getting old for a running back. So those guys are falling back. It's time for Brock Purdy. He's 25 years old. He just got paid. He needs to step up.
Right. And step up means do more than he's done before. Not just replicate a good season that he had before. He needs to carry this team a little bit. Can he do it? He's being paid to do it.
Yeah, I mean, he couldn't do it last year. He was in 6 or 7 one-score games and lost all of them. The Niners, they lost, I think, 4 games in the division where they were leading in the 4th quarter. I mean, they shouldn't do that again this year. If he improves and Robert Saleh improves the defense, this team could be a lot better.
And especially with their schedule, they could actually be pretty good. But we're demanding a lot of the quarterback, and we've not demanded it before. It's a whole other thing.
Like his last year, everyone's like, well, they won 6 games and missed the playoffs, but they had a lot of injuries, which is true. But he played 15 games, and you could have injuries again this year. You're still relying on older injury-prone players. If you have Brock Purdy healthy, and he's as good as his contract says he is, that should be enough. Brock Purdy, George Kittle, a running back and a defense, that should be more than enough to make the playoffs.
I agree.
Yeah.
Anything else this season is about for him, or have we covered it?
I think that about covers it. Should we move on to Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, boy.
Aaron Rodgers just signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and no one seems to fear Pittsburgh even now. What do you think of Pittsburgh doing this?
Iggy, has he signed?
Or he's going to show up to minicamp next week.
Yeah. I mean, we got to be careful about this.
Because he could always change his mind.
Yeah. Talk about a diva.
Yeah.
Iggy, so let's not say he signed. The indications are that he will sign.
Right.
So I think there are two things to talk about. One is him, and the other is the Steelers.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's start with him. I was thinking before we started this broadcast, well, people are very hard on Aaron Rodgers. You know, they after all ask him these questions at news conferences. Are you going to come back? And it becomes a whole theme. What are we going to do with Aaron Rodgers? Which I find very boring. But I was going to say, well, really, it's not his fault. He's only answering questions. But then I thought, no. He goes on that show with that former kicker who wears the what's his name?
Pat McAfee.
Yeah, he goes on. Doesn't he go on with that former kicker who wears the?
Yeah, he's like a regular spot with him.
Yeah, and they talk about that stuff. So it's not like he's a shrinking violet. He invites that topic. So I want to say I am totally have had it with Aaron Rodgers. I wish he would go under a rock and live a quiet life. I've had it with him.
Yeah.
But I think the more serious issue is Pittsburgh. And here's what I mean. My whole adult life covering sports, I have always respected the organization of the Pittsburgh Steelers as one of the best, most reasonable, most consistent organizations in the league. It's good for the league to have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All I know is last season they had Russell Wilson, and he didn't work out. But now they're going for a guy even older. Like you said earlier, Russell Wilson wasn't old enough. They needed to now go for this guy. So I'm thinking, what plan? These are the Steelers. They haven't had a good quarterback since Roethlisberger. What is their plan? Every year they get some guy who's like half dead. They get him out of the sarcophagus, right? And they bring him and say, they get him out of the sarcophagus and bring him and they say, please save us. Is that a quarterback? The 49ers have a better plan than they do.
Yeah. I mean, really, they seem like a team that's going through the motions, doing just enough to win 9 or 10 games, make the playoffs or not, and not fire anyone. I mean, in the past, you look at the Steelers as like, man, look at all that stability. You know, they've only had 3 head coaches since 1972. It's incredible. It's like, you know what? You know, they got to shake it up. I'm not buying into this stability anymore. You've had the same coach for 19 years. I don't care how many times he can win 10 games in a season he hasn't won a playoff game. They haven't won a playoff game since 2016. They should just blow it up, but they never will.
Mike Tomlin seems like a very nice man and a pretty good coach.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to go.
Yeah.
He needs to go. I mean, if consistency means mediocrity, what the hell's so good about that kind of consistency?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, theoretically, they're trying to win championships. When I was a young man, there was something. So the idea that they would settle for Aaron Rodgers, and God knows what he's going to be like in the locker room. I don't understand a team that is so ill-prepared, that has so few plans.
Who's a better head coach? Mike Tomlin or Kyle Shanahan?
Kyle Shanahan.
Why is that?
Because I think he has a higher ceiling than Tomlin. Tomlin is, Shanahan has won in certain seasons a lot of games.
Yeah.
And he's been to the Super Bowl twice recently. What has this guy done? This other guy? No, Kyle is a better head coach than he is.
There's another way to look at it, though. If Tomlin were the coach of the team last year, they never would have won only 6 games.
Right. They would have won 9.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's true. But it's like, could he have built what Kyle Shanahan built? He'd never have the offense that Kyle Shanahan had ever. That's the thing with Mike Tomlin. He's always going to have some offensive coordinator who freaking sucks.
Yeah.
And if he has a Hall of Fame head quarterback, maybe he'll be good.
And he wouldn't want Brock Purdy. He'd be looking for Johnny Unitas. Even though Johnny's dead, he would want Johnny Unitas.
Ooh, you're 25 years old? Get back to us in 15 years.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got to say, I really admire Pittsburgh, and I love the town, Iggy. It's San Francisco East.
Yeah. Would you call it a small town?
It's either a small big town or a big small town.
I like that. Kind of like Reno, the biggest little city in the world.
Maybe a little bigger.
All Niner forces Lowell and Grant. I recently started college again and developed a passion for creative writing. What are your top 3 writing tips?
Okay, let me try to do this. The first one is put your tush in the chair every day.
Yep.
Tell yourself, I'm going to write every day. And you can make it 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, but you have to be faithful to it. And you have to do it every day. You can't say, I'm not in the mood today. If you say that, you're not a writer.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Yeah. Number 2, what are your 3 writing tips? You got to get 3 books. You got to get the Elements of Style by Strunk and White that teaches you how to write. You got to get Annie Lamott's book. What is it called? Bird by Bird, about creative writing, and a book about writing fiction, which applies to all writing. It's called On Writing by what's the guy? Stephen King.
Stephen King.
Those 3 books are glorious and accessible and easy, and they give examples and they tell you how to write. And the other thing is, when you write, and this Iggy knows, you let your creative person, for me, it's the 11-year-old, be in charge. The editor cannot be in the room when you're writing. The adult. You keep the adult out, because the adult would say, you need a comma here. That's not a good sentence.
Slows you down.
Slows you down. It's like driving a car with one foot on the gas and one on the brake. Yep. The adult comes in later, after you're done writing for the day. You have a cup of coffee. Now you let the adult in and say, do you think I have a story?
How are my
here?
images? How's my grammar? How are my verbs?
Do I have active verbs? Do I have?
Am I using too many adjectives and adverbs?
Can't use that.
But that's the second part. The first part is all gas, no brakes, 11-year-old writing with pace. Writing with pace.
Thank you, Iggy. Because Iggy's a writer. He knows. Those are my 3 tips.
Yeah, those are good tips. Christian Ayala says, I'm sorry, but if I was Warner, I would light up BA at the first day of practice with pads. Imagine that. Well, they have done that before in the past. They've fought at practice. That'd be kind of cool to see that.
Why would you want Warner to do that?
Why would I want him to do that? Christian wants him to do that.
Why does I don't understand why Christian
I guess for yapping.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. Christian Ayala. One more thing. If you guys want to talk about the Giants for a little bit. They've been losing. They've been losing a lot recently. They're playing right now.
Yeah.
They're 3rd in their division. They have a new general manager, Buster Posey, who's giving them a new direction. How do you feel he's doing so far?
Okay. Let me just give some context. Obviously, it's a football show, 49ers. But the Giants are playing now, and they're news. And so we want to keep up on that. So we have one last segment on them. When Buster came in, there was a big whoop-de-doo. The Buster Posey era, right? The Buster Posey era. And he's going to bring the Giants back to their tradition, because he won all those World Series. And he was, a great player when he could play. And this is the greatest thing. Okay, and they got off to a really good start, but not so much lately. So 2 days ago, there was a mass assassinations on the team. They got rid of a lot of guys, and including Lamont Wade, who had been very good for them, but was not good this season. And they brought in guys, excuse me, but I never heard of. They brought in guys I never heard of, I guess from AAA. I admire Posey for seeing that they were on a downtrend and for being decisive. I do admire that. I compare him to Brian Sabean, who was even more decisive, but better, because he got rid of Matt Williams, but he brought in Jeff Kent, and the team got better. I didn't even know who the hell Jeff Kent was, and I thought Sabean was nuts. I was nuts. Sabean was great. And so I admire Posey's courage and his decisiveness. But Iggy, I can't think of one good player he's brought to the team.
What about Willie Adames? Guy's batting 201 as of today.
Right. As of started play today. He might have hit a grand slam. We don't know.
Yeah.
Willie Adames, they got rid of Wade because he was batting 175. This guy's batting 201. I mean, is that so great? So he brought in the shortstop, and he brought in the pitcher, Verlander, who's about 1,000 years old.
He was really good 6 years ago.
And already is hurt. Yeah. So what has he, aside from the fact that he's Buster Posey, what has he done?
He has allowed fans to feel like the Giants are tapping back into their roots without really tapping back into their roots.
Yeah. And you
know what they should have done?
What?
They should have kept Bochy and Sabean.
Yeah, absolutely. Or how about this? Bochy already has a job, and he's won a World Series over in Texas. Sabean is at the Yankees. That's where he's from. He went to the Yankees, but he's not in charge. They should have brought Sabean back. Sabean is a baseball visionary, and he's got guts. And what's more, he's a scout. He started as a scout. He knows more about player personnel and putting a team together than Posey. To me, Posey had to bring back Bobby Evans, who had been the general manager and is a very nice man, but wasn't.
I had no idea. He brought back Bobby Evans. He ain't Sabean. Ooh, didn't they fire him already? He was awful. Did my dad just freeze, or is he incredulous? Dad, where'd you go? Look at him. All right, Dad, what's for dinner?
What's for dinner?
Oh, sorry, you're back. I'm just kidding. You froze for a minute.
Okay, we're here?
Yes. He brought back Bobby Evans? Ew.
Bobby Evans is his number 2 guy. And he's a
number 1 guy.
He's a very nice man, Bobby
I'm sure
Evans.
he is.
But what I'm saying is, Buster didn't have the expertise, so he needed someone who had been there before. I can't say I'm impressed with Buster Posey, but it's just the beginning of June. Maybe he'll be phenomenal. But Iggy, I can't name a significant player that he's brought to the team to make the team better.
Well, let's just see how much they gave Willie Adames. $182 million for 7 years.
For 7 years.
Uh-huh.
So he's batting 201. And Iggy,
in baseball, can you just cut players and get rid of them? Or do you have to or is it guaranteed?
I think it's guaranteed.
That sucks.
So that's why they got rid of Wade, but not Adames, because Wade was not guaranteed, but this guy is.
So Adames has 7 years to figure out how to hit? That's great.
And, I looked at him, and I think 2 seasons ago, he batted 217.
Hey, he's got potential. He could go bet. Stock is up.
Yeah, stock is up. How do you get a guy, pay him that much that 2 seasons ago batted 217? So I don't know. I don't know what he's done. He doesn't have a first baseman. He doesn't have a regular second baseman. I mean, they keep floating around. I'm not sure he has a regular right fielder. He has. Yes. I haven't seen him play in a while. He might be hurt or something. I don't know.
Okay.
And the the Korean kid, and I love that kid.
I
Jung-Ho
love
Lee.
that guy.
I love him, but Posey didn't bring him in.
Nope. He
Farhan
didn't bring
brought him
in Jung-Hoo Lee. He didn't bring in Ramos. He didn't bring in Chapman. He brought in Adames.
Yeah, and everybody's making fun of Farhan. Why is this guy? Is this guy doing so much better? I'm not saying Farhan was good, but this guy was supposed to be an upgrade, and he didn't bring in anybody, and it was supposed to be a better team. Based on
just
what?
wait until Justin Verlander turns 44. Then he's going to be really good.
When you look at in their division, Iggy. Now, again, they may be killing San Diego today, but I mean, the Dodgers have a lot better players.
Yeah.
You need better players.
Yeah.
And San Diego has the third baseman is close to a superstar. They have better players. In the long run, on the Giants, is there anyone on that team that you'd say is a superstar?
Willie Adames. He's going to be on the team until he's 37 years old. Okay. No, although I do like Ramos. He's fun to watch.
He's a very good player.
Yeah.
But he's a good player, and you want him on your team. You want the center fielder on your team. You want Logan Webb on your team. Iggy, I'm not sure they have a closer.
No.
Last night, Walker couldn't close out the game, and they had to bring in Randy Rodriguez. Yeah. And the other night, Doval gave it up. Yeah. I'm not sure they have a closer.
No.
How's that?
But they got a submariner who I like.
He's good in the 7th and 8th innings, but you need a guy to close the game.
Yeah,
how do you not have a closer?
Yeah, Sabian always had a closer. He always had a great bullpen. He always had a really good rotation, and he always had a first baseman who was good in the field and a lefty. Brandon Belt, Travis Ishikawa, JT Snow.
I used to love to talk to Sabian. He was such a tough guy. I would ask him, I say, so-and-so isn't playing well. Like a pitcher. He's not playing well. Brian, is he hurt? He'd say, ask him, Lowell. He's not going to tell me. He said, I'm the one who makes the contracts. I have no idea. Ask him and let me know.
I never met Sabian, but just from afar as a kid looking at him, he always looked like a gangster. Like he slicked his hair back and kind of put gel in it, and he'd have his little pinky ring out. He just looked like a gangster. I'm not saying he was a gangster, but I wouldn't mess with him.
I wouldn't either. And in a way, he acted like a gangster. He was a tough guy. But Iggy, I really got a kick out of him. And what's more, I have to tell you, I really respected him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Can you tell that story about the time that they gave Barry Bonds an extension and they went to dinner? Can we do that?
Yeah, but I'm going to forget the name. God damn it.
Was it Donna Charlie's?
No, it was at Peter McGowan's house.
Oh.
I'm getting old, but here's what happened. They were negotiating with, this is according to Sabian, which he told in Arizona at spring training, all the writers, they always invited once a year at spring training it wasn't Donna Charlie's, but it was a fancy restaurant in Scottsdale. And the idea was everybody was going to get loaded. Everybody take an Uber or designated driver. Brian was going to have a good time, and everything was off the record. Okay. Mm-hmm. So,
but the statute of limitations has been 20 years.
Oh, I feel quite confident. Brian would love this story. So Peter McGowan, the owner, lived in the city, and Barry Bonds and Sabian went to Peter McGowan's house, and they negotiate all kind of stuff. And Barry said he was satisfied. So they're leaving his house. Sabian is the general manager, president of baseball operations, and Barry, and they get to the door. And according to Sabian, Barry looks at him and he goes, "Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Pat. You really got everything I wanted." And Sabian says to us, "Who the fuck is Pat?" My name's Brian. He didn't even know who I was. That's
He
what he
didn't have
said.
to.
Yeah, he said, "Who the fuck is Pat?"
Why would Barry Bonds need to know who Brian Sapien is? Just give me the fucking contract, please.
Yeah, and he told us that story, and I remember everybody loved Sapien. We were all
Yeah.
drunk.
Right.
And drunk on some good wine, Iggy. I
Yeah.
mean, the Giants was so generous to us.
Yeah.
It's great food. And when he told that story, that was the capper offer. I was sitting next to Barry Bloom. Iggy knows, great baseball is. I think we almost fell out of our seats. Who the fuck is Pat? That's what
But it's like
Sapien
you
said.
can't get mad about it. It's like, well, at least we re-signed Barry Bonds. Well, this show has been dedicated to Pat Sapien.
Was it a good show, Iggy? Oh, we got more.
SRT Unk 415 says, shout out to Papa Cohn. Before getting all this in-depth coverage from Grant, I used to get my in-depth coverage from Papa Cohn, LC on Chronicle Live on CSN Bay Area. Oh, yeah.
That was, I really enjoyed that show, and I went on with my friends. I did that once a week for years. They first started paying us $75 a show, and I think we made it up to $125 a show. But I used to go on with Osler and Killian and Brian Murphy and others who were my dear friends, and we'd had a really, really good time.
I remember you started going on that show in like 2008 or 2009, and I was still in college, and I was so jealous.
You were?
Look at my dad, like because you were ramping back up in your career. It was cool getting on TV and blogs. I wasn't jealous, but I thought it was cool. I wanted to be on too. So yeah.
Well, look at this. Now I'm on your show.
That's right.
More
and
famous.
I'm still not paying you $75. Like I owe you a bottle of wine.
You owe me a bottle of wine. I have to tell this last story. I don't know why because I've been on assignment. I haven't talked. I don't know if I told you this, but a couple of months ago, I went to Costco in San Leandro. I had to buy some stuff. And I'm tooling around with my cart. And this lady, very polite, comes up to me and she says, "Excuse me, are you Lowell Cohn?" And I'm thinking, yeah. They still remember the old guy. And she says, "I see you on with Grant. He's great." And I'm thinking, it used to be that Grant was my son. Now I'm his father. He's more famous. So I said to the lady, "Would you like to speak to him?" And she said, "Yeah." So I called him remember I called you from Costco? It was like she was talking to God. She was so excited to talk to you.
We watch you all the time. Wasn't she a Russian lady?
No, she wasn't. She wasn't.
Oh,
Russian.
Sorry. She wasn't Russian. I take it back.
No, she wasn't Russian.
Dad, you were just on a sign before we go. Do you want to tell people any stories from New York? You just wrote a Substack. Make sure you subscribe to the Substack.
I could tell a story.
Tell a story.
I'll tell a story. So one night I went to see a play. My sister goes to Manhattan all the time and sees a lot of plays. So she said, "Lowell, get a ticket for this wonderful show on Broadway called Maybe Happy Ending."
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "It's a musical. I know you're not wild about musicals, but this is really a drama. I like drama." And so what it was a drama with music. It was about a couple. I'm not going to tell you that much about it because you might want to see it, and I don't want to give it away. But it was about loss, and it was about how you live on after it. It sounds grim, but it was actually in many ways a comedy. And I was sitting there because I have had a big loss in my life, and I was very touched by it. I was profoundly touched by what it was talking about, what it was dramatizing, and how really well done it was. And I remembered, right, Broadway is great. These are great actors. So what happened was I left the theater. I was in the theater district. My hotel was on 33rd Street, but I was around 45th Street, which isn't far. And I read in a book recently, it said, after a play, the place to have a late dinner is at a restaurant on West 46th Street called Restaurant Row. The restaurant's called Joe Allen. And I've seen it, but I'd never gone in. So I'm on my own. I walk over to Joe Allen, go down the steps, and I go in, and it's really bustling. And there is a host, a very nice young man. And I said, I'm here for one person. He goes, oh boy. He says, it's a 2-hour wait. It's like 9:00, 9:30. He said, 2-hour wait. And I said, I could be dead in 2 hours. And he would laugh. We had a good time.
It's a good line.
And then I said, what about the bar? He said, the bar's even worse. He said, I'm sorry. Come back another day and make a reservation. Well, I wasn't going to be there another day. So I went directly across the street to a place Iggy and I have been to any number of times called Becco, Becco. And it's an Italian restaurant. Iggy and I really like it. It's owned by Lydia Bastianich, who is a very famous Italian chef and has or used to have a cooking show on TV that my wife, his mother, watched all the time because she's so good. So I
They
go
make a
in.
good ossobuco.
Oh, it's a wonderful restaurant. Except, so I go in. I haven't been there in a few years. I go in and there's a host by the door, as opposed to the guy at Joe Allen. I say, one, do you have a little room at the bar? The bar's around the corner. You can't see it. So I didn't know if there was any room at the bar. He goes, yeah, we got room at the bar. Like, yeah, a New Yorker. And I said, well, would you show me there? He goes, nah, you can find your way. Oh, okay. I mean, imagine that.
Should I go fuck myself? Okay, cool, thanks.
You should go fuck myself. So now I get to the bar and I get a seat. It's a nice bar. It's small, but it's very nice. And the bartender, and look, I find this strange, couldn't speak English. Now, look, he was Spanish speaking. I minored in Spanish in college. I love Spanish. I used to be able to read in Spanish. I have nothing against it, but I'm not that good anymore in Spanish. It's been almost 60 years since I graduated from college. I needed a little help. So I was able to get my order across to the guy. And I asked him, look, I see you have some really nice wines by the glass on your menu, but I don't know them. Could you tell me which red wine goes? I was getting lamb chops that you recommend with them. And he gives me a look like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And what's more, I have no interest. So he looks at some other guy who's standing behind the bar and they talk in Spanish. And it was too fast. I didn't get it. A few minutes later, a bottle of red wine appears before me. And I don't know what it is. They don't explain it. The guy says, you want to taste it? I taste it. It's good. And it's clearly that it'll go. So he pours me a glass. At no time did they tell me what it was or why it would go with my meal. Now, in California, they would. Then I'm eating. There are a few other guys at the bar. There were no women, just guys. The workers, the two bartenders and two other servers, stand at the bar right near me for the next half hour, talking in Spanish, which I couldn't understand because it was too fast for me. It's New York. A lot of people speak English and couldn't have cared less that I was there. It was like I was intruding on their conversation. So then when I finally left, usually when I leave a restaurant here, Riggy, they say, hope you enjoyed your meal. Thanks for coming in. Hope to see you again. They didn't even look at me. It's like, screw you. And so here's what I wrote on Substack, and I mean, I won't go back to Becco, even though it's a really good restaurant. It's sad when a really good restaurant gets lazy. And when I go, I spent well over $100. I would like them to at least be polite. So next time I'm going to make a reservation at Joe Allen's.
I think I see why Joe Allen's so popular these days.
Yeah, not Becco, right?
Yeah. Well, look, if you're going to New York, don't go to Becco or go on an off night. No, maybe just go to Joe Allen and tell him the Cohn Zone sent you. Dad, thank you. I love you. This has been our best show ever.
I love you. Iggy, this was clearly our best show ever.
Oh, yeah, not even close. Absolutely.
Number one. Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back soon.